Hey guys, it's Franklin, and today we're going to talk about cams and cranks in FLL. Cranks and cams create reciprocating motion, meaning that they move things back and forth quickly. First, let's look at cams. Cam mechanisms have two parts, a cam and a sliding beam. The sliding beam rests on the cam through gravity. So how do cams work? As you can see, as the cam part rotates, it pushes the sliding beam up and down. Now let's talk about cranks. Cranks are similar to cams. While they create the same type of motion, the main difference is that in a crank, the sliding beam is linked to a rotating wheel with a connecting beam. This means that unlike cams, cranks are not reliant on gravity and can be oriented in any way. Cams can only be oriented upwards since they rely on gravity. Here's an example of a crank in motion. Let's start building our cam. Here are the pieces we'll need. Feel free to pause the video while you grab your pieces. First, we'll need one of these pieces and a 3x5 L beam. So we'll attach these two pieces together like this. And then we'll take two of our long blue pins and we'll insert them into these two holes. Next, we'll take our 5 beam and slide it onto these pins. We'll take another one of these long blue pins and put it into this hole here. Next, we'll take a 3 beam and slide it onto this pin. What we're basically doing is building a housing for our cam. So let's take another one of these L beams and attach it here. Alright, let's finish our cam. So we'll take 2 more of these long blue pins and insert them here and here. Since this part of the housing is wobbly, we'll stabilize it by putting 2 more 3 beams on these blue pins. If we put our sliding beam in here and we turn this axle, we'll see that we have a working cam. Now that we've built our cam, we need to figure out a way to connect it to this large motor. So we'll take an L beam and we'll insert a black pin into this hole. Now the pin will go into this empty hole on the cam, so that the L beam goes on like this. Now we'll take this extra part of the axle and insert it into the large motor. Next, we'll take a 5 beam and then insert 2 pins here and here. And we'll use those pins to connect this 5 beam to the large motor. Like that. Now let's take 4 more of these black pins and insert them here, 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 and here. And now we'll put a 7 beam onto those pins. Like this. And so now your cam is attached to the large motor. And so now, when we spin the motor, you can see that the cam works. Alright, let's build our crank. So first we need 2 of these wheel pieces. And then we'll take an axle that's 6 units long and put the wheel pieces on one end of it. And we have to make sure that the holes line up on the wheel piece. Next, we'll take one of these pins, it's a frictionless pin, and insert it into one of the holes. Next, we'll take a 5 beam. This beam will be our connecting beam, and we'll put it onto this pin, like this. And then we'll have to connect our sliding beam onto this white beam here. So let's take another frictionless pin and insert it into this hole, which is on the end of the connecting beam. and then we'll just connect the sliding beam there, like that. Now we have to build a housing for the crank to make sure that the sliding beam is straight as it moves back and forth. So let's take one of these pieces and one of these pieces and connect them here. Let's take two of these long blue pins and insert them here and here. Then we'll take a 3-beam and slide it onto the 2 blue pins. And last, we'll take another one of these pieces and attach it there. Now let's take our crank, and the axle part needs to go into this hole here. And we have to make sure that the red part stays between these 2 beams. So it goes in like this. And so now when we turn the wheel, we can see that we have a working crank. Now we have to connect our crank to this large motor. So what we need to do is grab a 13 beam and insert black pins here and here. Then we'll connect this beam to the large motor like this. Next, we'll take another black pin and insert it into this hole on the bottom side of the crank. And so now we'll insert this axle right here so that it connects with the large motor, and then we'll just insert the whole mechanism like that. So now when we move our large motor, we can see that the crank works. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe.